The Earth. It is a very beautiful and vast place. In it we have many great oceans and lush green forests that are sustained thanks to the ecosystem. However, it is crucial that we maintain those systems so that the cycle of nature isn't disturbed, because if something happens to it, it might come back to haunt us later.
The first step for maintaining our environment is by managing our resources, especially the non-renewable resources such as petroleum, coal, etc. This is due to the fact that they usually cause much more pollution compared to renewable energy sources, and they may also affect some natural cycles. An example of this would be how burning too much fossil fuels may negatively affect the nitrogen cycle. This is why it is critical that we as humans implement methods in order to avoid overuse of our resources so that we have more resources for the future that continue to sustain and supply our next generation, and also to keep pollution to a minimum.
Endangered species. A species of animal or plant that is seriously at risk of extinction. We have a lot of examples, like the panda, the tigers everywhere, especially the white tigers. Endangered species, which include animals and plants. We can protect these animals by keeping them in zoos to decrease the chance of their extinction. Land and water pollution have greatly killed many species over the past years. Oil leaking from ships has led to the death of many organisms. Also, cutting down trees and destroying animals' habitats to build houses has made them go extinct. If many plants are being cut, there will be no much oxygen and the food will be scarce, which will lead to the starvation and wars of countries. Reuse and recycling can help us protect animals. For example, after taking out a new computer from its large cardboard box, instead of throwing it, we can recycle it and make it a new home for a homeless cat.
But in the end, there is no way to find out exactly how the future will turn out. However, you can get a pretty good estimate based on the decision that mankind will take towards whether or not we should conserve our resources, we should protect our wildlife, etc. There are two ways that this could go. Either mankind realizes what's going on around it and they take action and they solve the issue, or at least minimize it, or we can simply ignore this and leave it as it is, but that might have consequences, obviously, as discussed earlier. So, number one, if humanity decided to take action, the future will be filled with a healthy earth that has a wide variety of wildlife, and also has great cities that have a lot of resources that can help us survive for far longer than we ever imagined we would. Also, when our children look up in the sky, they're going to see beautiful white clouds atop a blue, pure sky, signifying that we're living in a great earth. However, if we decide to ignore this issue, that would mean that the world will be filled with infected skies, filled with pollution everywhere, and the ground will be littered with radioactive waste from factories, as well as the many rivers, of course, because that's where most of it is dumped. And also, most of our cities will be destroyed because we're going to have a lack of resources, and those cities which do have resources will be greedy and want to keep them to themselves. And then it will be difficult to recognize that Earth from any Earth before. Also, we're going to have literally black, hollow forests and many dead seas. So, I've given you the facts, I've even given you an estimate of the future. The decision on how this goes is up to you. You, as a human living and walking on this earth, will be the judge to whether or not this will turn out okay, or whether or not this will be our doom.